It's now time to meet the players. The referee in charge, Terry Camilleri from Malta.
Higgins.
Firstly, please welcome the defending champion from Scotland, the guillotine, Anthony McGill. His opponent, a legend in the game of snooker, hails from Scotland, former 4 times world champion and currently ranked number 3 in the world, the Wizard of Wishaw, John Higgins.
So then, Derek Sippy, in his own inimitable style, gets the players into the arena. John Higgins, what is there left to say about this man? He's done it all in the game, a 4-time world champion. And I can tell you now, after this, his ranking will go up to number 2. He overtakes Judd Trump with his performance here, win or lose. Anthony McGill, as you can see, warm empathy between the two players. They're great friends, and as you mentioned at the top of the show, Aditya, there's no question about it. This really is a master against the apprentice.
Absolutely, and I think we can just see from the body language of both players how happy they are to be out there and to be playing each other.
Ranked 18 at the moment, Anthony McGill, but this win, I'm sure, is going to put him on the brink of breaking into the top 16. There was a couple of interesting plays at the start of the week, did you, with players that could break into top 32s or 64s or 16, but that's quite significant for Higgins to overtake Judd Trump off the back of this performance. Judd Trump, of course, foolishly decided not to come to India. Maybe that'll give him a kick up the backside to be here next year.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone playing on this tour has got one target, and that is to get to the top of the game, and Higgins is no different. He's been there for a long time, and I'm sure he's hungry to be back.
Must give a mention to all our referees who've done a fine job throughout the course of the week. Leo Scallion's my favourite. Had some great fun with him over some breakfast and dinners. And Terry Camilleri there, who you can see. Have you got a favourite referee on the circuit, did you, or anyone you don't like? You can tell us, no one's listening.
Absolutely not. I have complete respect for all referees, and Terry obviously is one of the best.
John Higgins to break.
An honour for the players to be in a ranking final, an honour for the referee as well to officiate. John Higgins is going to get us underway, and remember, throughout the course of this week, he has been a slow starter, hasn't he, John Higgins? He's come from behind on a number of occasions.
Yes, but that's just the nature of this game. You know, it's about who wants it more. You know, sometimes I'm sure when he was struggling, if he wasn't completely focused or determined to win, he could have gone out early in this tournament.
One of the things of the early part of the tournament was some not so clever breaks. That's a beauty from Higgins, isn't it, off the bat?
Not exactly the perfect length, but nicely in behind the yellow.
Is he tempting McGill in here?
No, I think it's just going to be a dump shot, wide on the black cushion. He's got it a bit too thick and pushing that red. The red needs to really hold up, otherwise it's going to be an easy starter for Higgins.
And it looks like it hasn't managed to hold up. Higgins surely we're going for this and playing it, I suppose, in a way that the only red he can leave is the one he's playing for.
Well, I don't think he'd be afraid of leaving anything. He'd be completely focused on getting this pot and getting himself onto one of the balk colours. And first chance he gets, he'll be in and around the black. First things first, though, you got to make this pot. It's not easy queuing off that cushion. First scoring opportunity of the match.
First point in the 2017 Indian Open final goes to the new world number 2, John Higgins. Not ideal on the position, though. Was he playing for blue there, Aditya?
Yeah, it looks like he was always going to be somewhere around in between the ball colours and the blue, and he could have had a choice of colours, but from where he's landed, I think the only real option looks like the green. He's getting his extension out, so he's obviously going to try and stretch his way. Oh, he's getting the rest out as well. See, I think I have that advantage in height over John. I wouldn't really need the extension on my cue here.
The rest and the extension, not always a winning combination. Certainly adds an element of risk into the shot. No mistake from John Higgins. And houses white. Well, has he got a choice here, Aditya, or is he going to have to try and cut this red to the left of the table?
I think he'll be relatively happy with this because he can swing the white around 2 cushions for the blue. I don't know if he's got any other options, but this looks to be the only red available. But all he needs to think about here is to land on the right side of the blue, so he doesn't have to come in and out of balk again.
Both men came from behind to win their semi-final earlier today. A reminder, this of course the first match in the tournament that's best of 9. It's a race to 5. We will have an interval after the first 4 frames. Oh, well that's a routine miss that's gone begging, but
John
Higgins, who I'm assuming, as Aditya said, was trying to get on the blue, left a shot that I'm sure McGill might consider taking on here. Let's have a look. No kick was there, Aditya?
No, I think he just missed it. You know, it's a difficult game. Sometimes it's a matter of millimeters, not even that sometimes. So they're all missable shots. And early on in the match, it's not easy to find your vision and your strength and the length of the cue ball. So you'll be disappointed with that one.
Well, that's McGill off the mark and perfect on the black to boot.
Yeah, he just got a slight nudge on the black on the way down, and fortunately for him it didn't push it safe. I'm sure the black still goes. He's just having a look at the black spot, where the black would re-spot after he pots it, and he wants to make sure that the spot is available at this moment, so that when it's re-spotted it's still available.
He wouldn't be concerned. He wouldn't be concerned about hitting the red first in this shot, would he? That's not an issue.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Oh, well, potting the black was an issue, and early nerves from both Higgins and McGill, but you've got to say that Anthony McGill, his mistake could be the more costly of the 2 we've seen so far. What happened there?
Absolutely. Just, when there's balls around the ball that you're trying to pot, it always tends to take your eye away from the pot itself, the cannon. He wants to make sure that the cannon that he plays is perfect.
And was that kiss off the red initially onto the black a factor there as well? The black wasn't exactly where he maybe factored it to be.
Absolutely, the slight kiss pushed it closer to the red, but fortunately for him it was still on, and no excuses there. He would have fancied to pot that, and now he's just given the opportunity straight back to Higgins. So they've both given each other a chance each, and now let's see what Higgins can make of this. Not sure that red closest to the black passes it, so looks like he's been a little careless there, and it's a safety coming up.
A cagey start from both men. Neither of them put perfect early on. Remember, it's been a grueling week, playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, twice on a Friday, now twice on a Saturday. The defending champion Anthony McGill, it was 5 days ago he started his campaign against our very own Aditya Mehta. And again, I mean, you were a victim, as so many players have been this week, Aditya, of McGill just being in sparkling form, and for him to even sustain it to this point is something else. There was no real hiccups for him. Even Mark King, yes, he did trail, but that's the only real test he's had.
Yeah, I think it's just because he's been at the top of his game. He's been too good, and people haven't really had an answer for it. Today, I think he was slightly off the mark against King, and that gave King a sniff. But, he just rescued it in time.
Weighted perfectly, that safety riposte from McGill. I'm sure he's expecting more of the same after Higgins' next shot, but with that red in close proximity and the cue ball tighter to the cushion than previously, it's going to take a spot on shot here. How's his bounce off the cushion? There was plenty of complaints from Mark King about the bounce off the cushions in the semi-final that he had with Anthony McGill, but reasonable length there, and nothing stands out. Is there a shot to nothing on with that red to the left of the black?
I don't suppose there's any potting opportunity here.
I'm just seeing, though, the only red surely is that red that's stuck away to the left of the black, but then you're having to avoid the black to guarantee, and the 2 reds to the right to guarantee you can get back to balk if you miss it.
I think the shot probably is to swing it around from the left-hand side of the table as we're seeing it. I suppose the swing around shot wasn't available because of this red that he's just cannoned. He's played it that way. He's not necessarily tried to avoid the red, because he knows that as long as he doesn't push it too heavily, he's not going to leave anything on.
Now explain to everyone at home, they might look at that at first glance and think that red is potable that's right next to the white ball. Why is that not the case?
Absolutely not. It's far too close to the white, and plus the potting angle would almost certainly result in a foul, because there's no way that Higgins could get his cue out in time.
And that'd be a push shot, would it?
Absolutely, yeah. Very cagey start to this match. Neither of them really want to give anything away, although they've already given each other 2 chances apiece.
Too early to start talking of re-racks here, though, surely.
No, there's no re-rack. The re-rack is usually, you'll find that happens when you leave a ball over the pocket, and neither player really wants to leave the other person in, and it ends up people just rolling up to the pack. And if there was any chance of a roll-up, these two would have already had a glance at each other and said, let's do it. We don't want to waste any time. Having a look if that plant goes, but obviously from this angle we can see now that it doesn't go. That would have been very careless from John if that plant was available. Back to regular safety play now. Both will be trying to get a good length on the white.
Well, Anthony McGill showing a glimpse there of the form that took him to victory in 2016 and has got him within 5 frames of victory in 2017. What an expertly played shot to nothing. Got the cue ball back to ball. The bonus of the red, of course, the colour to follow. Not that straightforward it is yet, and of course it's a tricky shot here to roll up behind one of the colours as well.
The roll up behind the yellow is probably the only shot. But he wants to cover the left hand side of the table here, so John can't just play the
Has he got enough on that?
up.
Has he got enough on that? He hasn't. Well, always the danger when the cue ball was so tight against the ball cushion. And no surprise that John Higgins puts him straight back in again. Of course, John there had the option of asking him to play it from that position or replacing the ball. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be the most foolish foul and miss I've ever seen if he was asked to replace the ball, but definitely a foul and play again. To be honest, even though it's difficult to roll up to this, I think the only reason he has come up so short is because he wants to get really tight on the yellow.
And John, would he have had an option of a free ball there?
Absolutely, he could have taken the free ball, but as we can see, there's no real available ball to pot, apart from the brown in the middle pocket, which doesn't really give him any advantage. He knows McGill is in all sorts of trouble.
So McGill taking his time here, and understandably so.
See, ideally you'd want to somehow get to this red on the cushion left hand side of the table, but even if he did manage to come and contact that, there's a red over across on the right hand side of the table, which is potable from there, so he can't even play that shot. To be honest, I can't see where the best position would be. Ideally he wants to get into this pack on the left hand side of this pack, just under the pink. If he can somehow get into that area, once again he could possibly be leaving a red in the middle. So Anthony's going to struggle to find a safe spot here. Exactly what he was trying to do to John by putting him in that position.
Higgins will be delighted. It's McGill playing the shot, not he. Higgins, of course, 42. McGill, 26. There's 16 years between them in age. McGill, as Aditya's mentioned, and as McGill himself has mentioned in the run-up to this final, idolised John Higgins growing up. Incidentally, not too many players in the professional ranks would have played John Higgins more than 10 times and not have a losing record. They've played each other 12 times on the tour over the years, and they're tied at 6 apiece. So that goes to show you Anthony McGill not fazed by the snooker CV of John Higgins, no matter how much admiration he has. And what about that for a weight? Oh, just shy.
He just came off too square off that second cushion. Generally, if this was the first day of the tournament, when that white hit that final cushion, it would have slid a bit more, as we call it, slide. And in fact, I think it would have hit the other side of the red. But here, because of the table is slightly older now, the cloth and the moisture, they start to play a bit square and changes the angles with which you come off cushions.
The table was relayed overnight, but that didn't seem to satisfy Mark King, and explain the process and the decision making in relaying a cloth, just as we see if he can get it right at the second attempt. He can't. I'm sure that will go back once more.
John Higgins.
Unless John fancies that red to the black, will he consider that?
That's the one I was looking at, and that's why I was not convinced with this escape, because he'd have to get it absolutely perfect and behind that red to stop John from having a go at this.
And that little exchange of misses there has given Higgins a 22-point lead. Make it 23 now. Yes, going back to the relaying of the table overnight, is that something that's the norm in these very rapid-fire tournaments that are played over 5 days, to relay the table on the final day for the semis and the final?
Yes, absolutely. It's not just this tournament, it's almost every single tournament on the tour that the final table will be reclothed before the semis and the finals. Because at this level, in order to see the best quality snooker, you need to give the best possible conditions. You know, with something like maybe tennis or badminton, there's nothing you can do about the surface, although I'm sure the players would love to have a fresh you know, court of grass for the finals, but that's not possible. But in this, it's not that big a process. It takes a few hours, but it makes a huge difference to the quality of snooker.
6.
Well, just like that mistake from Anthony McGill, trying to lay up behind the yellow and not making contact with the ball you see at the top of your screen, it's not just given John Higgins 8 foul points, it's now put him in a position to establish a healthy lead here. Still one loose red that's definitely manageable. I'll try and play back round for that now. I'll be happy with that position. When's he going to try and break up this cluster, Aditya?
13.
Obviously, it looks like the top of those two reds that look like a plant, they do go. So he's got that, and by taking that, he opens up another red into the opposite corner. So he's got plenty of options here. And with a healthy lead already, I don't know how many of these you know, reds in the pack he might actually need.
14.
Yeah, just doing the calculation, I think he's going to need one of them. And he's not going to be in any rush to open this unless he finds himself in a good position where, you know, he's almost certain to land on something.
I
think the black is probably the best color to use in order to go into this pack.
Pink to that one remaining loose red now, you'd imagine, and then try and unravel that cluster of 5 you see above the black. He leads by 42, so still plenty of points left for Anthony McGill to get back into this frame, but Higgins, already with the insurance policy of that red tight up against the bottom cushion, is a red-hot favourite now to take a 1-frame-to-0 lead in this race to 5. You're watching live pictures on Sony, ESPN and around the world of the 2017 Indian Open Snooker Final. What a week of top-class sport it's been. Incredible India, and it's been incredible here in Vizag, overlooking the Bay of Bengal. We've had young and old packing the stands to enjoy the best players in world snooker. Among them, of course, Aditya Mehta, who I'm sure will be back next year in 2018 with a real passion and purpose to repeat your feats of the inaugural competition, Aditya, when you did marvellously well.
Absolutely, it's always a pleasure. That year, the first tournament was so special for all of us. The first professional ranking event in India.
Aditya reaching the final on that occasion, going down to Ding Junhui, which in itself is no disgrace, and I'm sure we'll see Aditya this time next year. That one thought about going in, wiped its feet, as I like to say.
This is the difference of the new cloth overnight.
Captain Mohan there, the president of the Billiards and Snooker Federation of India, with Jason Ferguson, who's the chairman of the WPBSA, both enjoying the action and both men working so hard to bring top-level snooker to India. Jason Ferguson and his team at World Snooker, an incredible job they have done, revolutionising snooker really in the last 10 years. And Captain Mohan himself, a passionate man when it comes to cue sports in his home country, and he deserves an enormous amount of credit for the work he's done to make sure that India does get to see first-hand, close-up, the best players in the game.
Absolutely, I don't think any of us dreamt of this possibility a few years ago. If you just get back to the frame for a second and we see that John obviously needing only one more red from those 5. He went into the back, and I suppose he can count himself really unlucky not to land on any of them. But this makes it a little complicated. The next course of action is to try and put a red safe.
He leads by 64. There's 67 still on the table.
John Higgins, 42.
The cue ball tight on the cushion will please him, as will the fact he's used the black to block what would have been the most logical attempts for Anthony McGill to make. Worth remembering, of course, with that 64-point lead and only 67 left, Anthony really can only afford to take those 5 reds with anything other than a black once, maximum of twice if he brings the pink into play. And the shake of the head tells you it's a mammoth task facing McGill to get back into this one.
Yeah, and a clever shot from John as well. He was looking at the cannons in the back when he played the shot, trying to somehow manufacture, somehow try and put one red into a cushion. And you see he's pushed one over to the left-hand side cushion. Not quite tight, but still makes it difficult for Anthony to pot it and maybe land on a black. So that is his insurance at the moment. But Anthony's got a lot of thinking to do here.
Opening frame already up and over the 80-minute mark, so not the quickest frame we've had this week, certainly. I think McGill there, one last throw of the dice. If John Higgins can see through to that red, or even if he can't, he's got the cut to the other red in the middle. The only thing hampering him here is the cue ball being tight against the cushion of Ditcher. You'd expect him to get one of these, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I think Anthony just went for broke there, knowing that he had no real escape.
Well, that red should seal the frame. I'm sure he'll want a colour just to make sure. Possibly looking for the cut on the green. He can pay it dead weight, can't he? Because the other red is lurking there as well. So
he really wants to score a few more points and keep McGill in his chair, and himself, you know, hit a few good balls and get his confidence up.
No doubt now. 68 ahead, 59 remaining. And that's about to get a lot worse for Anthony McGill here as well. This red will completely seal the deal. Oh, well, now McGill's got a decision to make. Is he going to come back to the table? No, the frame is conceded. Very quickly, are you surprised by that concession of Ditcher?
No, I think that's just the respect he has for John, and I think they both just want to get on with this final.
Okay, so John Higgins takes the opener. When we come back from these important messages, Raman Bernat will be in the commentary box with more Aditya Mehta. Stay with us.
He might not find a way back into this game.
He's going to break for the second frame of the final. Remember, this is a best of 9 all through this week. We've seen a best of 7.
Can you be quiet, please?
Slightly
Thank
longer.
you.
Maybe an opportunity to come back even though you trail early.
Yeah, it makes you a bit more relaxed as a player when you're playing a best of 9, because you know it's not, you know you've got a little longer to settle. Saying that, neither of them will really want to take too long to settle into this match, and John Higgins already having a frame on the board. McGill really wants to get that frame on the board, because you can never really relax until you're on the scoreboard.
That's an interesting move, taking the black out of the original position. So
it was just that was probably the only safety available to him. John wouldn't be not the kind of player who wants to disturb the black, but he's got great length on the white, and already you see his safeties are really starting to hurt McGill. Again, if you remember, the turning point in that first frame was when McGill failed to snooker John behind the yellow, and his white didn't reach the yellow, resulting in John putting him back in from there. And I think that is where John really took control of the frame. So it's not like Higgins has manufactured his own opportunities yet. It's been more McGill handing them to him.
yeah, so those 12 points gifted as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The foul points matter, but it's what Higgins made from the subsequent visit that killed the frame. And there you go, another careless mistake from McGill. He had a whole pack to aim at off that side cushion, and be very disappointed not to have hit the pink and you know, not just give away 6 points, but also leave Higgins in with an opportunity early in this frame.
Now remember, the first one to make a pot in the first frame was also Higgins.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems that he's the one getting in first in these, and that is so important early on in matches. He's already looking at options as to how to get into this pack and split the reds. With the blue and the black so close together, neither of them will pot in the middle. So he has some work to be done here. I wonder if the pink passes the pack into the opposite corner, because that would make life a lot easier for him.
Yes, but for the moment he's not really bothering too much about that. He's just, as they say, picking off the loose reds, following it up with the bulk colors.
I think he's going to go into the pack from this yellow. It's a great angle on the yellow, and if he sees the opportunity, he's going to go for it.
Double kiss on the red has actually not left him with too much there.
Yeah, he didn't get into the white. He needed a lot more screw, spin, and left-hand side of that shot to get into the pack. But again, the table, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to judge, because like I said earlier in the program, the slide that players expect off the cushions, it doesn't seem to happen in moist conditions. So I think it just made that shot slightly harder, and unfortunately he's broken down. But I think the main thing there was the blue and the black being tied together. That just reduced his options quite drastically. Once again, you see the length of the white. Higgins has found the speed of the table, and he's putting McGill in all sorts of trouble early in this match.
And McGill, who looked absolutely flawless right up till the quarterfinal, hasn't had the best day today. Oh, once again, that was a difficult pot to make.
It was played as a shot to nothing. Be very unlikely that he would end up leaving the red over the pocket at that pace. It's a clever shot, and although it could have gone wrong, it's gone well for Anthony so far. Higgins will want to have him right back in trouble again, in and around behind that green spot.
That was the intention, albeit didn't really get the angle right, colliding with the green. Now, contrasting styles for both players in terms of how they've made it into the final day. You had Higgins, who wasn't really on top of his game, and you talked about it earlier in the program as well, playing his B and C game and still making it to the semi-finals and now to the final. McGill, on the other hand, was absolutely flawless till Friday, and in the morning he was scrappy in the semi-final, did in the end get the better of Mark King, but only just. So is this going to be the time that Higgins really rises to the occasion?
Well, I won't be surprised if we see Higgins give us one of the masterclass performances, but McGill has shown us earlier in this week what he is capable of. So it's only a matter of, I think it's a matter of him getting that first frame on the board and relaxing into this match. And once again, a bit of luck there for Higgins, who usually tends to favor the player who's playing better at the moment, and everything seems to be going his way. McGill is going to have to bide some time here. He's going to have to buy himself a few moments, and when he does eventually get that opportunity, if he doesn't punish Higgins, this could be a long night for him, or a short one.
Well, that could be more worrisome for him. A shorter night. Remember, in the first frame, it was almost a similar situation. The white nestled behind the yellow for Anthony McGill, and that's when it all went wrong. Could it be a repeat in frame 2 now?
Yeah, the reds are not exactly split the way they were in the first frame. Here he's got a few options, and plus remember the blue and the black are in slightly awkward positions, although it won't take long to get that right. So McGill obviously has his work cut out here. He's just trying to find a good spot where he thinks that he can leave the white without giving John too much to go at.
Has he got enough pace on it? Just about perfect.
Fabulous, fabulous shot. I mean, that was so close to the pink again there. John's having a look at this. I don't know if there is a potential for a pot here in the middle pocket. White's naturally going further down the table. It looks like it's on.
I don't think he's got the angle on it. Always catch the jaw, but yes, he had the opportunity to go for it. Now, interestingly, John Higgins has got 2 century breaks that Patrick was talking about a little while ago. One of them came in the quarter-final against Liam Highfield, and the other one came in the semi-finals against Shuzi. So, just when he gets into the big matches, that's when he pulls out the big guns from the arsenal.
Absolutely, he's a big match player, but he's given McGill an early chance in this frame.
Is that a sign of things to come? Once again, a pot that he should have made, and he was making with ease when the tournament started.
Nothing's easy until you get a few points on the board and you start queuing a few, opening your arm up. When you get opportunities like these early in a match, you're almost praying for the first few pots to go in, because you can never really say, you can never really feel comfortable on the table for the first 10 or 15 minutes, and especially sitting on that chair while Higgins was crafting that break early in the first frame. Once again, you see Higgins has got McGill in all sorts of trouble. There's no path back into balk from the right-hand side of the table as we look at it. He can't see any potential path back from the left side either. The only thing that I can see here is him rolling up into the pack, really dead weight. He's expecting the table to be nice to him here. Any sort of a drift on the table and he could be in all sorts of trouble. Has he got enough on this?
Yeah, I dare say he just might come up short, and he has.
John Higgins 4.
Yeah, but I think he knew that even if he didn't quite catch it right, he wasn't leaving John an easy opportunity. He's got this one in the middle, but he's got tricky queuing over these reds. John's going for it today. I think he looks like in a very positive mood.
Once again, he's missed that pot to the center left. That's the second time, albeit you'll have to say it wasn't easy. Neither the first nor this one.
Like I said, it wasn't essential for him to go for it, but he's in that frame of mind at the moment. He's just looking for those opportunities to kill frames off. And to be fair, both the chances that he's missed in the middle on that left middle were really good chances. So once again, McGill.
9 out of 10 times you'd probably expect Anthony McGill to do that blindfolded on a practice table.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think they're showing you how easy and how difficult this game can be.
And what do you have here? There's a nice juicy red into the center left here for John Higgins.
1.
Yeah, he's got a few easy. These are the kind of opportunities that McGill is craving, the easy ones where you couldn't miss them in a million years, and those are the kind of shots that can sort of help you ease into a match. This is a great opportunity for John. He put too much into it. Brown's going to come back onto its spot. He has.
5.
That is extremely careless from a player of John's caliber. Just wanted to leave it short on the red and then play up for the pink and naturally maybe go into the pack.
Change of plans now. Does he still feel he's got a sighter on the red?
No, he's going to have to play off this bottom cushion, but this could go anywhere. Absolutely great judgment there from the cushion. Exactly what he was trying to do. He might have still left this red on the left-hand side cushion, but it was just about damage limitation, that shot.
And I've said this before and I'll say it again now. today hasn't been a great day for McGill, and a clear indicator of that. Remember, he was taken over 7 frames in the semi-final against Mark King. Just had 2 50-plus breaks. Did McGill, and you look back at the entire tournament, all the way up to the quarterfinals, and he was easing his way through.
It's funny how this game can just change in a day. You see all sports really. You could be in the form of your life, but it only takes one day waking up on the wrong side of the bed to change everything. Some days you wake up in the morning and you just feel amazing, and other days you feel like nothing is going right for you. I think McGill is having one of those, but at least he's managed to get through that semi-final. That will give him a lot of faith that his B game is good enough, which is what great players are made of. The Mark Selbys of this world, who can play their C, D, E game and still win a world title.
Now, does he fancy this red? Does John Higgins? Into the bottom left. Took it on and didn't get it right. Now, where does the cue ball end up? Or will the black come to the rescue?
That's what happens in this game. He obviously took that red on knowing that there was a clear path for the white back into balk. He didn't expect the red to come along with it. It has opened the black up from that blue area. Now we see whether McGill wants to open it further up. That's nicely played. But we do have the black tied up now, and the pink doesn't seem to pass in any of these, so the next scoring opportunity is not going to be easy.
Yes, this is turning out to be a KG frame here. And you are looking at a few records in the making. Remember, we haven't seen a defending champ defend the title at the Indian Open before. So Anthony McGill has an opportunity if he can do that.
It would be really special. It would be some performance, and especially to defend it against a man like John Higgins. Last year he obviously played Kyron Wilson, another up-and-coming player from England, in the final. We've had a lot of youngsters do well at the Indian Open. Remember Ding, obviously a very seasoned professional, but still a young player when he won here. He was around 25, 26 years old. Second year we had Michael White, another youngster. And again, this Indian Open was his first ranking title. We've had Anthony McGill taking his first ranking title.
And that helped him, remember, he went on to win the snooker shootout after that as well. Did
Yeah,
McGill.
The shootout is one of those events. It's probably just as likely as winning the lottery.
No wonder it's the name.
Absolutely.
And then on the other hand, you've got someone like John Higgins, the 4-time world champ. And as Patrick was saying earlier, 28 career ranking titles, joint in second place with Ronnie O'Sullivan, and you've got Steve Davis on that number as well. So if he were to win today, he goes up to 29, and he'll only have just one person ahead of him. That's, of course, Stephen Hendry.
Absolutely. But no matter what, John is a legend of the game and will always be. I know he'd love to win this title. But as is the relationship between McGill and John, that I don't think he would be too disappointed to see young McGill, somebody who's grown up watching himself, going through those world titles, come up in the same club, practice with him. He'd love to see McGill do well. It's been a great camaraderie relationship between all the Scottish players over the years, and what a fabulous shot this is. This could very easily turn out to be the longest frame of our tournament so far, but intriguing nonetheless.
Oh yes, absolutely. No freebies on offer at all in terms of the spread.
John's looking to get his white back exactly where it is at the moment, swinging around.
Foul.
Completely misjudged that.
McGill 4.
But no real damage done so far. I'm sure both players would want to get that black out into play. Just wonder what sort of a shot is available to play that without any risk. He's having a look. He's seeing if there's anything he can do to take that red away from the back end of the table and bring the black into play. Because until that black is in play, you always feel like this is going to be a really slow and scrappy affair.
And remember, it's McGill who's got the catching up to do. He's trailing by a frame, trailing in this frame by 18 points as well. Margin that really isn't insurmountable. He's managed to get the red away, but what's the follow-up now for John Higgins?
Yeah, nicely done, but he's given John the advantage again. John can play a nice aggressive safety here. He gets a good white. Now we have pretty much everything in play. Looks a bit pacey. And one of the rare bad safety shots you would say from John, to come almost 2 foot off that back cushion. Leave a nice little tempting long red here, McGill.
Looking at that smug look on Higgins' face, I think he's just trying to conceal the fact that he's disappointed with that safety shot.
There's nothing easy about this shot though, especially when you haven't had too much time on the table.
Oh, he pots that well. And what was making that shot tougher was that while queuing up, he had to make sure he didn't touch the green.
Absolutely, there's a cracking pot, and unlucky there to catch that other red near the black spot. Otherwise, the white would have swung around nicely around the table, and he would have had options of black and pink, but he's still got a shot on the pink. Nicely done.
Gets the pink back into position as well, so
yeah, a few more tricky shots before he'll be looking at getting back into prime position as quickly as he can. There's plenty of reds available.
8.
but for the moment what he's looking at doing is maximizing what he can with the pink.
Yes, absolutely, but he's again found himself a little short on the pink, which means the white is going away from this end of the table. That makes the next red very difficult to come by. He's having a look at the black, if that's available to bring the white back down. Once again, the black spot is tied up with this red, so he wouldn't want to bring the black back here if it doesn't go on to its own spot.
It's a good pot, and what's more, it gets the cue ball back, but he'd like it to stop somewhere around there. Perfect.
Our referee's having a look at that area where the black spot is to see if there's enough space, and if there is, this is going to tie the black up again.
50.
Well, that's not what Anthony wanted, but I suppose he didn't have much of a choice. He's going to look at playing a nice cannon off this, to pot this red in this pocket and come off the bottom cushion. Maybe play a cannon onto the red next to the black. Oh,
16.
Nicely played, but just got into it too much. Can't be sure whether this black is easily potable in the middle. It was the right shot. You need to get that black open if you want to score heavy. Looks like he fancies this one.
Will it drop? No, it won't. And what has he left on for Higgins, if at all anything? There is the option of taking the red to the center left. Let's take a look at that miss again.
Yeah, it was never in line. Not easy queuing up over that red. The black so close to the cue ball as well. It's a big shot for John. Tough one, but like I said, he looks like in a very positive frame of mind today. Absolutely perfect. And played that aggressively. You see, a lot of players would have played that in a way to take their white back down the table and not leave anything available. John has gone full-blooded into this. He knows if he misses it, he's going to leave everything for McGill. This is the luxury of playing a slightly longer format as well, to take those extra risks. Maybe if it was a best of 7 again, John would have thought twice about playing that shot.
Gets her across nicely. There is a very inviting red that he can target on the left pocket.
7.
Again, maximize with the pig, but this is so very cagey. The start to the frame, the second frame, was so very cagey, and now things beginning to look up, and he could very well run away with it, John Higgins.
Yeah, you can. The back of 3 reds is very inviting. Any nice cannon onto them, and they're all going to come out into open play.
8.
Looks like he played on the black there. Maybe to land on the red on the side, on the right-hand side cushion. But he also has the option of potentially playing a cannon here on the back of 3 reds, off 2 cushions. Just wonder what he's thinking. He might even play a cannon onto this red on the right-hand side cushion and push it closer to the pocket. From my angle, we can't really see how thin a pot this black is, so I'll have to wait and see what John can figure out here.
Black does drop, but yes, he was looking for the cannon, and I think he just might have gotten too close to the red.
Yeah, he played that very nicely, but you're always at the mercy of what kind of contact you get on the reds. He would have loved to just flick off them. If he catches the first red a bit thinner, these could have been perfect, but he got them too thick, and that killed the white, killed all the pace from the white.
John Higgins, 15.
Nicely played safety. He knows that it's very difficult to play safe from the right-hand side of the table because the pink is blocking the other 2 reds in the path. It's masterful safety from John Higgins. Every time McGill comes back to the table after a John Higgins safety, he just always seems to be in trouble.
Yes, and he's had to play something special, McGill, to try and come out of it. That's the beauty of John Higgins' play. Just about 25 minutes gone into the second frame, and it's still anybody's frame. Oh, he went for it. And again, he's not been able to pull off a long pot.
No, those are probably the hardest shots on a snooker table. But that's what I say when I say about Higgins' safety is McGill almost feels forced into taking pots like this on.
And that double kiss on the red has set it up nicely for Higgins now.
It's not easy. Again, this is the beauty of a new cloth. You wouldn't have seen John Higgins play that yesterday. But he knows that when the table is reclothed, the balls seem to hug the side cushion, especially when they're stuck onto it. Very brave attempt though, very, very brave.
8.
67 left on the table at the moment, a lead of 25 for Higgins. In fact, 75 on the table.
I'm almost tempted to say that Higgins has a flight booked early tonight, because the shot selection has been so positive, so aggressive. It doesn't seem like he's in any intention of hanging around.
Yes, that lead swelling now. And now 67 left, a lead of 31. He's got a couple of reds that he can easily pick off from here.
15.
Yeah, this is nicely placed for John, because the pink takes him 38 in front. He's going to need 2 more reds, but the one under the black is probably going to be the next available red for him. And then if he can find himself on the black after that, he can try and develop something. He Didn't want to be so close to this bottom cushion though. He would have liked it to bounce just another inch.
21.
This makes life slightly more complicated. Wonder if any of the three reds on the left-hand side cushion pass. The one that's furthest out from the cushion, does it pass the other two into this left-hand corner pocket? Because that would make it a lot easier for John.
22.
Nicely done, and on the black. He's just going to go and have a look if that red goes. It's just a quick look, so it seems to be quite obvious whether either it goes or not. Yeah, this tells us that it does. And that's almost perfect. Another couple of inches and he would have been straight on this red.
Yep.
Still expect John to knock this one in, and this is potentially frame ball. 46 ahead, 51 on the table. Pots this, and that only leaves 43 available for McGill.
But this is not going to be a regulation pot, though. Aditya.
Absolutely not. This, like I said, 2 more inches, and it was almost unmissable. These can easily be missed.
And there you have it, prophetic Aditya Mehta.
John Higgins, 20.
Yes, and yeah, he'd be very disappointed with that, especially now. I think there's a possibility of playing a 3-ball plant here and bringing all 3 reds into play. And if there's any possibility of it, I'm sure McGill will jump at it. He's already having a look.
Well, this could just be the lifeline that John Higgins has thrown to Anthony McGill in this frame.
One shot here could change everything. 3-ball plant.
And quite like what happened against Mark King as well. Remember, McGill was given a lifeline and he took it.
There's always moments like this in snooker matches. There's always key shots, and this is one of them. Looks like he's going left-handed.
The advantage of being ambidextrous, but he's still not completely convinced.
I don't think he's convinced with the plant, and he doesn't want to throw this frame away in one shot, so he's going to try and stay in this frame. There's a shot available here with powering the black in and getting the white back in and out of balk. But it was a very tricky one, so McGill now starting to play a little clever. He's going to get one of these two at least in play and hopefully play a good safety, get a good length on the white. I don't think he can bring both into play with this shot, but I'm sure he would have loved to do that.
It's a lead of 38, 43 remaining on the table, so it's not done and dusted yet for John Higgins.
Yeah, he'd be bitterly disappointed that he missed that one with the rest, but it was always missable. And I think he's a bit relieved that McGill didn't attempt that 3-ball plant, because that could have really set him up for the frame. And knowing John, you know the situation. There's no better player on the tour to assess the situation and plan accordingly. He wants to leave this red on the left-hand side cushion absolutely alone. He will not be very keen to play any sort of shot on that. And McGill, on the other hand, needs to force him to play that shot and to bring the other way around to play. And if that red had held up, if the white had held up a few inches earlier, he might have forced John into playing it. But now, as it happens, it's a shot to nothing available to John.
It's over half an hour into the second frame. Could this be the opportunity that Higgins was waiting for? Oh, he's missed it, but well, the brown come to the rescue. It hasn't.
He's got a great white. Obviously, the pot was number one on his mind to win that frame, but I think he was equally focusing on bringing the white back down, keeping it safe. Still has insurance there on the left-hand side with the red. McGill just wanted to come up in behind the green. Just a slight misjudgment, and if he had pulled that off, he could have put John in all sorts of trouble. But to be honest, completely honest, unless this red comes off this side cushion, John's going to be very comfortable in this frame. He might even try and push the pink safe here with his safety. That is not what John wanted. That is the worst case scenario. Not only did he not put the pink safe, he got the other red back out into play. He's going to be bitterly disappointed with that.
Yes, there's a long pot on the red. For Anthony McGill, Higgins doesn't look happy at all.
Yeah, he wanted to catch the pink thicker off that safety. The red that he played just seemed to flick the pink very thin. What he wanted was a quarter ball contact on the pink and push it on the black cushion. This is a huge lifeline for McGill. He never expected John to bring that red out of the cushion into play. You could play 100 frames with John Higgins and he wouldn't make a tactical error like that.
Has he got enough on the cue ball? He needs it to stop.
7.
Yeah, he's nicely placed on this. He's 31 behind, so he's going to need a high valued color with this red, so he can't afford to go down for the yellow. He's going to hold the white somewhere around here.
8.
The blue works just nicely for him. He needs to stay on this side of the table. That's perfect. So now it all comes down to the green, really. It's the toughest ball on the table, and this would be a massive steal for Anthony McGill, and this would really set the match up for us. If he can clear up here, be a great, great dish.
Oh yes. He needs whatever's on the table. 27 on the table, that's what is on offer, and that'll give him the frame.
Can't afford to land straight on the green, obviously, because he needs to come back out of the cushion for the brown. He's having a look at the cannon as well onto the green. He's got a few options here, but if he decides to play onto the green, he needs to come at least 4 to 5 inches off that bottom cushion to leave himself a good angle to pot the green and then come back up for brown.
15.
Wow, that is a huge error. I think he's covered himself behind the brown.
Yes, he has, not something that he intended to do.
He's not entirely sure. That could still be a shot at this green.
Difficult to tell from this angle.
But this is what I was speaking about. He wanted to make sure that he had the angle on the green. If he didn't mind being straight on the green, he would have just rolled the yellow in. But because he knew he needed an angle on the green, he decided to stun it in. And now he's left himself this really, really tricky green.
Oh, it's not dropped. Oh dear.
15.
It put the spikes on just when McGill was hoping it'll slide in.
You could see the frustration on McGill. He almost wanted to smash that green in with his hands, but that would have earned him a fine from World Snooker
3.
for early concession. Remind all the viewers that a player is not allowed to concede a frame while he can still mathematically win it, no matter what the situation.
7.
And that green over the pocket meant that there were enough points on the table, and any sort of concession there would have either got him a warning or a fine. So he had to hold himself together. He couldn't afford to get angry there. But I can guarantee you he's absolutely fuming inside, because what a great opportunity to level that match.
18. Frame.
And there you go. Higgins is not going to miss out on this opportunity. He takes the second frame, goes 2-0 up. Does John Higgins, the 4-time world champ, against the defending Indian Open champion. We'll take a short break and be right back. That's the way it stands at the moment.
Frame. Frame
Remember, it's a race to 5 in the final of the 4th edition of the Indian Open, and he's almost halfway there as the 4-time world champ John Higgins. He's going to break in the 3rd frame. He's 2-0 up, remember. In the commentary box with Patrick King on, Aditya Mehta. I am Raman Banot, and Aditya, well, the defending champion, Anthony McGill, really does need to get a move on here.
Yeah, he's still going to be very disappointed with that last frame. He was given a golden opportunity by Higgins, but just didn't land on that green correctly. Remember, he just left himself an inch short, and that made all the difference.
Now that's a positive start to the 3rd frame for McGill.
Beautiful strike. Very tough shot, but just looking at McGill's body language, I sense a little positivity. I think he wants to get on with this. He wants to attack John and put him on the back foot.
The last couple of frames, whoever's spotted the first ball in the frame has gone on to win the frame, if that's any indication.
I wish it were that easy. I wish snooker was that easy.
Just numbers at times. Oh, that's just dropped. Oh, he had his heart in his mouth, I'm sure, McGill.
Yeah, but just because he got that black slightly thinner than intended, the cannon that he expected on the red has gone wrong, and now he's on nothing. Those are the margins. You might still make the pot, but because you pot the ball from the wrong part of the pocket, it makes a difference as to where the white finishes.
So straight away, it's time to go for safety. Try and head for the
McGill
hills,
takes.
get the cue ball as close to the ball as possible. And that's not worked out, but
It's just a sign of disappointment. After that beautiful long pot, he would have loved to get a good cannon off that black and start scoring. He's just not got himself into this match so far.
having said that, I think McGill would fancy the Indian Open to be some sort of a lucky charm for him, because before last year, he hadn't made it past the quarterfinals of a ranking tournament. And then came to the Indian Open. Wow, look at that long pot, but he got too close to the black. No, I think it just could work.
No, I think this will work for John, because all he has to play is a delicate little cannon on one of these, either one of the two reds on the left or into the back. I think he's playing a soft screw into the back, which will leave him this red just at the bottom of the back. Oh, he got the red just as he was going into the back. He got the open red, and that's pushed it safe, but he might have opened this red onto the right hand side for the middle pocket. Just didn't quite get enough screw on that shot on the black, but fortunately for him, he's got something to go at, and there's no pressure on this shot because he's not leaving anything for McGill.
You know, the centre pockets are turning out to be a bit of a nemesis today for John Higgins.
Yeah, he's just not got his eye in those centres. He's missed 3 decently good opportunities. This is probably the easiest of the 3 that he's missed, and this will really annoy him because he knows that McGill is there for the taking. He's not quite playing his best today. He wants to punish him.
Right or left, centre isn't definitely the best for John Higgins. He prefers the long parts up to that.
That might actually catch on. I don't think McGill wants to get into a safety battle with Higgins. I just think he wants to get on with this match. But it's not as easy as that. And has he spotted a plant in this pack?
Given the anxious look that McGill is giving, who knows, maybe Higgins...
He might have to make it. He might have to squeeze it. But he's definitely on. Once again, the middle pocket. But he knew that it was a tricky one, so look at where he's left his white.
Again, deftly played, but as you said earlier, it's just a matter of millimeters. That's the margin. And look at the safety.
Yeah, I don't think either player is really happy with the way they're playing, but John will be thrilled to be 2-0 up in this one, because he's not even really put his match boots on yet. Let's be fair though, he has played the better safety in this match. He has forced McGill to take a few risks, but then he's given McGill equal number of opportunities.
I don't think he was intending to pot it anyway. We just would have got lucky had he managed to do that.
Yeah, I think the way he played it, he wanted the red to hit the green just to slow it down. He didn't want the red to come back to this end of the table. But no, he was never really looking at a pot. Fortunately for him, this red over the middle pocket, which is potable, but the other red is come to John's rescue at the moment. Because I'm pretty sure McGill would have had a go at that red in the middle if it wasn't being blocked. And John ideally would have wanted to stay on the other side of the black of this safety, so as to not leave that red over the middle. So they're both a little off at the moment.
I'm going to ask you this, Aditya. You know, you look back at how the entire week's shaped up for both, and I'll talk about it after this shot. Well, I tell you what, is that the rub of green that McGill required?
Well, he definitely didn't intend that, but we see the hand there. He's got a shot at this black. This is a big shot in the context of this game. Nicely done. Now McGill really needs to hold himself together a little bit, get at least 30-40 points on the board. Of course he'd like to do a lot better than that, but he can't really think, he can't get ahead of himself at this moment.
9.
But to be fair, there are at least 3 reds, or 4 reds as an easy pot, depending on how he works about the cue ball on the table. And what I was about to ask you, Aditya, I mean, as a player, what would you fancy? Look at that. He's got himself in a tight spot here.
16.
That's what I meant when I said he needs to get 30-40 points on the board. Of course, there are plenty of options available on a table, but mistakes tend to happen even when everything's put on a platter, and that's what he doesn't want to make. He doesn't want to make simple errors, and you know, he should have really taken advantage of that bit of good fortune.
I'll come back to that point because there's just so much happening. Higgins has had tough matches leading up to this final. You look back, the opener itself was a battle against the Chinese Zhao. Then he had another tough match against Martin O'Donnell.
Anthony McGill 16.
Came up against Xu Xi in the semi-finals. But McGill has had only one tough battle, and that came in the semi-finals today when he's had to play 2 matches for the title, the semis and now the final. As a player, what would you want to do? Play the tough matches early, or maybe have those scrappy battles early on in a competition, or towards the business end of the title?
I think all the best players always like to peak towards the end of a tournament, but I don't think we are at the luxury to decide when and where we would like to play well. I think playing well at snooker is so up to the gods at times that I think all players are really looking at is to win, and it doesn't matter how, it just matters that they get the job done. And the 2 players we're seeing on our screen right now are the ones that got the job done, one way or another.
Now the big question is, did McGill peak too early?
That is a bit of a threat to his title. You know, his defense here is that he did peak very early, but
Foul.
as I see a foul there, I think he
McGill 4.
didn't quite touch the red. It's not as much as peaking early. It's very difficult to go through an entire tournament playing well, and when you keep playing well, it almost seems to add pressure onto you because you're expected to keep playing well, and then when you have a bad match or a bad few frames, it's harder for you mentally to recover from it because you're so disappointed that you're no longer playing that well. Whereas for John, he's not really played well. So if he starts playing well now, he's just going to go on a run.
There's too much drama that's centered around the red at the back cushion.
Yeah, I'm sure both players want to get that white away from the red and just get on with the frame, because otherwise we'll be close to a re-rack. But with McGill leading 20 points, the last thing he wants is a re-rack at this point in time. He's looking at a spot somewhere there where he's pointing at the moment, from where nothing's really available for John. He knows John can put him in trouble after this, but it's just it's about getting on with the match. You know, neither player wants to be stuck in this.
At least of all, McGill, now that he's got that slender 20-point lead in this frame, he's, remember, down 2 frames in the best of 9 in the final of the Indian Open.
Yeah, no clear opportunity for John to play any telling safety. It's going to be a battle of patience. Both players are going to have to wait. The crowd is going to have to wait, because sometimes snooker can be like this, and it's like a game of chess. You know, you don't want to give away an easy opportunity. You don't want to be the one making the first mistake.
Especially not in the final.
Absolutely not in the final. Not that these players have not yet made mistakes, but in a situation like this, John maybe just going for the double there, knowing that he's not leaving anything. So again, clever shot to get the frame moving and at the same time not be taking any risks.
Yes, but that centre pocket's just not worked out for him today. I'm actually struggling to remember one putt that he's made in the centre pocket.
Yeah, we'll have to see the highlight reel for that. I'm pretty sure he would have potted many, but I think all the tricky ones he's missed. We'll have to look back into that one for sure, but one thing's for sure, if there's anything not straightforward in the middle, he's missed it.
I can't recollect a red potted in the centre pocket by him. Of course, the follow-up colours, okay.
I can guarantee you when we finish this match, he would have potted many in the middle.
Still waiting. Well, finally some aggression from McGill, but it's not worked out. And what's worse, just saved there by the cushion. The white nestling close to it, a little more off the cushion, and that could have been a pot on for Higgins.
And now we're going to do the same thing that we did on the bottom cushion, up at the black cushion. McGill will want to get this away from here quickly.
And the only difference is you get better camera angles now.
Yeah, we get to see the players more close up.
Generally, what goes through your head, Aditya, if you're stuck in a situation like this, how do you assess what you've got to do next as a player?
It's got a lot to do with the situation of the match as well. I mean, just this situation we find ourselves in right now, if we don't take the match into context, both players really want to get on with the game. They want to get that red as far away as possible, but the opportunity is not presenting itself at the moment. And you can't afford to be too hasty. See, both of them want to play that swerve, the massy shot, and push the red away. There, the first opportunity presented itself, and we see John putting Anthony in a bit of trouble now.
And what does he do? The defending champ, McGill, does he attempt a pot on this, or the cue ball's just too close to the cushion?
No, there's no real aggressive opportunity here. It's going to have to be some sort of a safety, but it's going to take some thinking. I think he wants to leave his white somewhere where his cue is right now. So I think the shot I can see is it's the third red from the right, the open red. Plays that up and down the table and follows his white through all the way to the other end of the table. He could also be looking at a potential pot in the bottom, the yellow pocket. Or is he playing it? He's playing a thin one.
If he's looking for a pot, he's just missed it.
Yeah, but he's got the white where he wanted it really, and I don't think he's left John with any pot anyways. It's a good shot from McGill. Not really high risk. Just wonder what John's looking at here. Has he spotted something?
Can he slide that red past into the top left? Oh, he can.
That was a phenomenal pot. Once again, I think this is the third or the fourth time John has played a red that was so close to the cushion and played it positively with pace. I think those are the ones that he's really seeing well, not the middle pockets. And here's your middle pocket.
The color's okay. He gets the color. I'm talking about the reds. That's where he's had the problem.
6.
I suppose when the reds are spread the way they are right now, the player's always looking at potting them in corner pockets, not exactly in the middle pockets. Middle pockets are the most difficult to play from acute angles. What an opportunity this is though for John.
7.
Yes, a great chance for him to put some distance in terms of points. At the moment he's trailing by 13. In this frame, he's 2 frames up, remember.
Yeah, these are beautifully placed for John. It just requires one good cannon. Somewhere in the next 2 or 3 shots, John's going to have to work out cannon to open those 4 reds. Just depends whether the 2 reds on the right of the pack, does the outer one pass into this right-hand side corner? He's also had a look at whether the pink passes in the right-hand side corner. That might make a cannon easier. Obviously it doesn't, so back up for the blue. Back around to look at those 2 reds. I think the one on the right, the furthest right, does go. That would really open things up for him.
Yes, he want the right angle with the cue ball though, to go for that red.
Has he gone too far? He might have covered him.
9.
I'd be very surprised if he's gone so far as to cover that red. He has. Wow. That was careless to say the least. That's end of break. From an absolutely perfect position for John, he's now had to concede the visit.
There's not much between these two in this third frame. Just a solitary point separating McGill from Higgins. It's not that the defending champ has much to work with. Again, looking to get that black to cover those 2 open reds on the right. I've been around long enough as far as this third frame is concerned, and both players looking very cagey from the second frame onwards. The first frame was a whole lot quicker.
Yeah, that's snooker for you. Certain trends can just be set in a match, and it'd be very hard to force your way out of it. So he definitely did have a look. He didn't see a hand up going up, so he's obviously seen the plant. I wonder if he could have been more positive with that and played on the black if he was so certain of the plant going in. Once again, now he's going to have to play a snooker in behind the black, but with that red over the left-hand side of the table, it's very difficult to get this snooker. So it's having a look at the black if it passes into the middle, on the right-hand middle.
Is he going to go for it? Will this travel? Yo, just did.
To the McGill 1.
And even if he had dropped that black, what was the follow-up for him?
I think there's this plant in the three reds, and now that he's left the black over the pocket, he's just made the pocket bigger, because John could even play the red into the middle pocket after cannoning the black. So this is a big pocket, and I think John would absolutely for sure make this one. There you go, it went in through the black. If that black's not there, the plant is a lot harder. It might not have even been on.
Well, the jinx continues, even though it just was momentarily broken with the potting of the red. Just can't seem to get the two together. The red and the color of the center pocket just hasn't worked for him.
Very, very surprised with that miss from John. I just thought he didn't quite take a lot of time there. There wasn't much to work out, to be honest, but still, with his track record in middle pockets this evening, he should have been a little more careful.
Now, 67 still remaining. The lead is just 8.
He's very likely to require all 5 reds. Depends which colors he takes with it, but they're all available. Just a bit of traveling to do with the white up and down the table, but nothing difficult, so this is a really good opportunity for McGill.
Thirty.
Could we just be witnessing that first fight back from the defending champion McGill in the final of the Indian Open?
Stakes some 21 points clear. So just doing a bit of calculation, even with that black stuck on the right hand side cushion, even 2 more pinks will not help him get over the line in this frame, so he will need all 3 reds. Might not need a color with that last red, but he'll definitely need the red.
And given the spread right now, Aditya, is there anyone that could present him with a problem?
I can't see any problems, to be honest. He's got a beautiful angle on this pink. Needs to get his white anywhere in that area on the right hand side of the table in balk. He's got an option of 2 reds. He's got the green there as well to make life a bit easier. I can't see McGill not winning the frame off this visit. This is a big shot in this frame, and he's played that well. Ideally wants to get the red closest to the cushion away, so
27.
he doesn't have to worry about it later. I think that's the only red on for him at the moment. So red, green, red. Should be enough for the frame. It's a big shot, this. Nicely done, and that's pretty much the frame, because 29 points ahead. Green puts him 32, and the red 33 with only 27 remaining.
30.
Remember, the error comes from John's missed pink in the middle. So that middle pocket really coming to haunt him today.
32.
But it's good for us and good for the snooker fans in India, because we have game on.
Oh yes, you want the defending champ not bowing out tamely. It's good that he's getting to spend some time at the table as well in one long run.
Yeah, he'd love to clear these up. This would be a statement of intent.
37.
Nice little cannon on the black, might be in order.
40.
Can always go wrong, but doesn't matter. He's going to get his first frame on the board, and remember I said you never really settle until you put something on that scoreboard. I'm showing you already that he feels a lot more confident with his game. A wonderful positional shot, exhibition shot.
And it's working out well. The way it's going now, he could very well get a 50-plus break. They got a couple of them in the semi-finals. Did McGill. His current break worth 49 now, and of course, the frame's taken, but this could be a confidence booster.
Absolutely.
Just on the cusp, but it doesn't matter. He's on the scoreboard. He's taken the third frame as the defending champion, Anthony McGill. But still, you've got to remember the four-time world champ is still leading 2 frames to 1 is John Higgins. We'll take a break and be right back. This is what both players are playing for, the Scotsman, the trophy, and of course, remember, £50,000 is the winner's check as well, as you've got the defending champion, Anthony McGill, who's trailing 1-2 against John Higgins in the final of the Indian Open. I'm Raman Vinod, will be Patrick King on. Welcome.
Thank you, Raman. Fascinating. I've just been watching this last frame in the arena. It's an absolutely packed house. There are hundreds of people locked out of the arena here in Visakhapatnam. The organisers have very kindly put a big screen up for them to watch outside. There's chairs for them as well. Vizag is buzzing with the best snooker players in the world on the night we crown the Indian Open Snooker Champion 2017. And just how pivotal will that 4th frame that we're about to see be? McGill going into the break at 2 each. Remember, an interval after this frame is a different ball game, Raman, to Higgins taking a 3-1 lead. Higgins with a settler there after that mistake in the 3rd frame cost him.
Yes, the red in the centre pocket, the centre left to break the jinx. Now, I'll go back about 6 years in a non-ranking event final, the Scottish Professional Championship. These two were up against each other in the final, and Higgins got the better of McGill. Got the better of him by quite a margin, beat him 6-1.
But since then, of course, McGill making that breakthrough right here in India 12 months ago. And it's interesting because a player of John Higgins' calibre, if you're talking about a player that's played him over 10 times, not many would have a winning record. Now, McGill hasn't got a winning record, but they're tied at 6 each on their 12 previous meetings. So Higgins rightly showing the reigning champ the utmost respect. Higgins' reaction so far to that blip in the previous frame that cost him is to look quite strong at the start of the 4th. Raman Banot is going to make his way into the arena to taste the action. Aditya Mehta still in the commentary box now alongside myself. And Aditya, we're probably overdue a rapid fire frame. I wonder if this could be it. Higgins has made a good start here and the balls are in a decent position for him.
Yeah, still not quite in perfect control of the cue ball. He got that red that he was going past and just made this shot a little trickier. But it's nice to be early in a frame when the balls are not, you know, awkwardly spread. The colors are still relatively in position, and this is where Higgins is at his best. If he can somehow find his way back into prime position, you expect him to negotiate this, but seen him miss one with the extension.
He doesn't miss
Not
that
this
one.
time.
You look at that cluster there above the black, it's in prime position for a bit of movement with that bottom red in the cluster. That's the one I'm assuming he'd like to go in off, so to speak, to push those ones above it out into open space.
Yeah, he doesn't quite have the angle this time, but be sure he's going to be looking for that very soon.
And of course, we talk about this being the frame prior to the interval. Aditya, how important is it in terms of momentum? You go in to the break on a high or go in on a low. I suppose it can work both ways, but there's no question the winner of this frame is going to have a colossal psychological advantage for when they come back.
Yes, absolutely. John will be looking at asserting a bit of authority here with this early opportunity. And a one visit frame could do, you know, mammoths for his confidence. Both players have struggled to win a frame of one visit. This is what Anthony was doing all through this tournament, was just getting in early and finishing the frame off.
We're yet to see a break in the final over 50.
20.
Are we on the way to seeing one now?
I think all depends on the split on the pack, which is coming very soon.
He's still got one loose red potentially to play to right middle. There's another red on the other side of that pink, which will be slightly harder to find a pocket for.
Yeah, he's decided that he wasn't really getting the right angle on the black to play into the pack. He's gone about 6 to 8 inches too far on this blue. He wanted to get that half ball angle on the blue to smash into the back from there. He's not got it.
Difficult
But he's
cueing as
still
well.
got another red available.
So this arguably was the trickier of the two reds to play, so it's worked out okay, even though he ran out a little bit of position. This is no gimme though.
No, the key of this shot is to get on the right side of the blue and play into the back. Next shot. There is no other option. This is his last chance.
He's
a
pretty
bit
perfect.
straight.
Too straight for you?
I think he's going to have to come at this from 2 cushions. I don't know if he can stun straight into them. Maybe he's just got enough.
The angle there looks more appealing, doesn't it, from that camera vantage
Absolutely.
point?
He had to play that really hard, and that's worked out just fine.
How's his luck? It's very good. He's got that red now to the left. That should be routine. He's also dislodged another couple that will be very much in play. And we are possibly on the brink of that first half century of this 2017 Indian Open final. Pack stands in the auditorium as he runs a little bit too far again. Both players, that's been the tale of this final. Cue ball control, not A1 from either of them. Now, would that be nerves? Would that be the table? Would that just be players slightly off their game? What would be your view on that, Aditya?
I don't think it's the nerves. It's just the fact that both of them have struggled to score. So when they find themselves in a really good position, it's almost as their eyes light up, and we're just seeing some very careless mistakes. I mean, he caught that red a little thinner than he expected, which is why the white went loose. But there's also an argument of the cushions being a little bouncy. So that could have been another reason why he's gone so far.
Makes no mistake with the black, so it's red in the colour for that half century.
He won't be happy with his break building so far, but like we've said before, John is an expert at doing what it takes. It doesn't matter if it's pretty, it just has to be effective.
$49.
He's just stunned the white back up to just about where he is at the moment. There's an option of 2 reds.
Oh, he's run away from it there, and that may well be end of break.
That is a very uncharacteristic error for John. Didn't get into the white at all.
Any explanation of that replay? A kick, or just a question of misjudging the angle?
Once again, I'll give him benefit of the doubt there. Just conditions might be a bit heavy, not getting enough spin.
He's taking this on, I think. He's taking this on. He's taken it in. What a sand save from John Higgins.
Classic Higgins, great recovery. He's looking at what's available from somewhere around where the pink is at the moment. I think he's got an option of 3 reds. Land on any of these and this is end of frame for me.
This will put him 63 in front, still 75 on the table. So red and black, and this might be all she wrote for frame number 4, and McGill on the brink of going into the interval, trailing by a deuce.
64.
Flick off that red, doing him no harm at all. A straightforward black, frame ball coming up.
Classic Higgins there, just the one blip and he had to take that recovery pot into the green pocket.
Vintage Higgins, vintage.
Vintage it is. Are we going to see a nice big break here? Is the high break still on? We only have a possible 138.
71.
Well, there's £2,000 going the way of the biggest break in the tournament, and that currently is held by the Chinese player Zhu Yulong, who managed to bag 141 in a game he ultimately lost in the first round against Kurt Maffin. Kurt Maffin featuring in some of the big stories in this tournament. Remember, he led 3-0 against David Gill before going out 4-3.
Once again, a red in the middle, let him down.
John Higgins, 71.
Well, it might well be end of break this time, but surely it's frame to
Well,
John Higgins.
That red would have sealed it, but with 67 on and only 71 the difference.
Well, we saw John Higgins in one of the earlier rounds. I believe it was against, just trying to recall who it was against. I think it was the Zhao Jingtong game. In his first match, he required one snooker and came and got it before winning that one 4-3. Amazing to think John Higgins has flirted with disaster on a couple of occasions in this tournament, most notably in that first round match against China's Zhao Jingtong. But here he is on the brink of taking firm control of this final.
And now you're going to see some vintage John Higgins. Look at that clever shot, push the red onto the side cushion. I think McGill is probably going to take it straight back out, but this is where he's so clever. He's going to constantly make McGill work to keep himself in this frame. I can't see McGill getting this red out and still leaving it safe, so for now that red's going to have to stay on the side cushion. John would be constantly looking at opportunities to put other balls safe, put colours on the cushion. He's going to take every chance he gets.
The swerve off that ball doesn't take it tight on the cushion though. Maybe a chance for McGill to work something here, but it's going to need creativity. Would he be keen on getting rid of that red next to the yellow and making sure all the reds are up the same end of the table?
Looks like you called it.
Great stun off the white there to keep control of that. That was a good shot, wasn't it, under the circumstances? Obviously not the snooker, but to get the cue ball as tight as he did onto the cushion with the power that was behind that shot was impressive.
Looks like John's got something here though.
Can the Wizard of Wishaw pull one out of his bag of magic tricks? Not on this occasion, but again, the pressure not on Higgins at the moment, firmly on his fellow Scott McGill, the defending champion, remember. John Higgins, win, lose or draw here, is going back up to number 2 in the world. He'll overtake Judd Trump with the prize money he's bagged here in Visakhapatnam this week. Well, that's a mistake, and that could be frame over now.
Frame John Higgins.
Yes, that's all she wrote. This is the end.
He's conceded, I think. Well, McGill's seen enough. He doesn't even want to make John Higgins pot that. Are you surprised he didn't make John at least finish off that red?
No, he was absolutely 100% to make that pot, and McGill already needed snookers, so very much in his rights to concede.
So at the 15-minute interval, we're halfway through, well, just under halfway through in theory, this 2017 Indian Open final, and John Higgins leads the defending champion Anthony McGill by 3 frames to 1. Stay with us.
Well, definitely is the battle of Scotsmen, and no wonders Jason Ferguson opting for a Scot winning the 4th edition of the Indian Open. Tell you what, the crowd have really loved the action, not just today, but all over this week. The 4-time world champ Higgins is leading 3 frames to 1. Remember, it's a race to 5 in the best of 9. And in the commentary box, I've got Aditya Mehta and Rory McLeod here with me. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yeah, we're welcoming Rory
Frame 5.
to the commentary
John
team,
Higgins.
and obviously Rory is one of the top professionals. Me and Rory played together in Leicester, where Rory lives. I spent about 6 months there, and I had the pleasure of practicing with him. And soon after I started practicing with him, he went on to win his first ranking title, so I think I'm going to take some credit for that.
Thank you very much.
Really, he's gone John Higgins' way. And Rory, you were up against Anthony McGill early on in the round of 32. Your thoughts on that matchup and how he's shaping up today?
When I played Anthony, he was playing very well. He has done most of the tournament. He's finding himself in a sticky situation. John Higgins' safety is so good. But Anthony's safety against me was just as good as John, so I know he can do it. All he's just got to do is hang in there and wait for his time.
They'll have to bring out the A game now because there's going to be very little road back. And you've got to remember, with McGill, it's always been come from behind all through the day. Even the semi-finals, he was always trailing by a frame. Here he's trailing by 2.
Anybody in the tournament knows John Higgins' game is Anthony, because they do practice together quite frequently. So he knows what he's got to do. He's just got to bide his time and get in there and do his thing.
And I think John hasn't really played that well that he's shutting Anthony completely out at the moment. Anthony's had his fair share of chances, and remember that green in the second frame along the ball cushion that really cost him that frame. And you told me that you had a word with Anthony, and he wasn't quite sure if that was the right shot to play.
Anthony said he likes going for the do or die shots. Me personally, I think he was better off playing safe at the time because he really wanted to put that frame on the board. But as you can see, he's a phenomenal putter, and I've been watching him when he's practicing on the practice table, and he loves these cut back blacks as well. So
It's just about enough space between the yellow and the blue to get to that. John will be surprised with that one, but this is a big shot, especially if he decides to play a cannon into the pack here. Seems it's just a cannon onto that open red. It's a choice of shot.
yeah, very good shot. I know there's still a lot of work to do, but Anthony's in with a very good chance here now.
8.
Straight away he's going to be thinking about how he's going to develop the reds in the pack. It's either the black or the blue. Looks like he's trying to come low on this black and straight away into the reds. He's not hanging around here. He knows he's going to have to take control of this game if he wants to put a few thoughts into John's mind.
That's very dangerous at this stage of the game. I mean, John Higgins, like you say, he hasn't played his best, but he's still cueing very well. It doesn't look good at the moment, not here now.
This is the second black he's missed in this match, overcut it. It's a matter of just not seeing the line of the shot, maybe the lights. But then he's played so many good games on this tournament, you can't possibly think that he's not sighting the ball well.
I think he's just trying to rush the game a little bit, you know, being behind 3-1, and, you know, he needs to just settle down a little bit.
Yeah, maybe take a little more time on those key shots. I mean, you and me as players, we know that any time you're playing a cannon, in any sort of a cannon along with a pot, it's so easy to take your eye off the pot.
7.
And I think that's exactly what's happened there.
Yeah, because I never fancied Anthony missing the black off the spot there. I mean, like I said, in practice, he's always playing those blacks, cut back blacks and things like that, so I never fancied that.
Yeah, the first black he played, he just focused on the pot, and it was a tougher pot, but he still made it. Whereas this one was a lot easier, but he obviously had the cannon to think about. He just needs to simplify the game at the time being, and maybe take an extra second on certain shots.
And that's what's difficult to do at this stage, you know. Sometimes you need somebody in your corner to say, just settle down, bide your time, don't rush anything.
Absolutely, and is John going to rush in with the split on this back right here?
There's nobody more dangerous in positions like this than John Higgins, you know.
He judged that really well, knowing full well that he was always going to be on this red on the right-hand side, part into the middle. But me and Raman both know that he does not fancy reds into the middle today. So he's lucky he's on this one as well.
Especially the middle that red's lined up with.
Absolutely, both middles for that matter.
Yeah, he missed the pink in the opposite middle as well, yeah.
Yep.
And that went on to cost him.
But I'm sure John Higgins, you know, being the match player that he is put that to bed now and is focused on really scoring well in this frame.
That last frame would have really helped him before the break, making it, you know, winning the frame of one visit. Even though it went on a bit longer, that'll definitely give him a bit more confidence, because before that,
15.
neither player could really score enough points in one visit.
Yeah, as you know, in a game of snooker, it just takes one shot to change a bad day into a good day. And like I say, John Higgins, you just don't want to give him too many chances.
That's what I saw on that split that he played on from the pink early on. A player who doesn't have the experience of John Higgins, or maybe doesn't read the game as well, would have probably tried to power into the pack. Whereas you see Johnny played that so controlled, and he knew that one particular cannon would split these reds quite easily. And here he spotted another plant as well.
22.
So everything seems to be going right now for John, and seeing the way the balls are, you wouldn't want to put your money on McGill coming back in this frame. Just a matter of that black being out of commission. If the black was on the spot here, Rory, I don't think McGill would definitely not be coming back to the table, but there's still work to be done for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of work still to be done, but all the balls seem to be in the open, and he's developing them as we speak.
Every shot is developing the break into a slightly easier position. That's just the class of a great break builder.
Exactly.
Yep.
He's just slightly run out of position there, but he's still got the loose red to the right. So there shouldn't be any problems, really.
Yeah, it seems like he got a kick on that red, because it was about 6 inches short of pace than what he would have liked. Still options available, but as all great break builders do, they want that white on a piece of string. They don't want it to be flying around the table where they're not comfortable with. But one good shot here and he's back in prime position.
Got a choice of two.
Yeah, he's played on an option of 2 reds, one to the left, one to the right. That's another habit of great break builders, always putting the white in areas where they have options, never committing just solely to one risky positional shot.
36.
One good positional shot now, and it looks like this frame could be over.
This frame, he's broken that jinx of the
41.
center pocket, that's for sure.
Well, another pink in the middle is coming up, I'm sure. So like I said, you know, just one shot, you get your confidence back, and it looks like John's back to business.
Yeah, but remember, this opportunity has been gifted to him by a simple black mist by McGill.
And that one wiped its feet a little bit, and I'm sure John wasn't very excited about that.
48.
I know it's rare to see someone actually feel jinxed by a pocket, but I definitely think John's feeling it, especially playing into those middles.
49.
That's not
And
a
I think
very
he's-
good cannon.
I think he's left himself slightly hampered here as well. And McGill's dealing with a chance if he doesn't do things right here.
Very rarely will you see Higgins misjudge a cannon like that, but I think that pink in the middle has got him rattled a bit. If that pink goes in clean, again his white is in perfect position.
Higgins, 49.
But clever as John is, never to miss a trick. He's put the green away.
And it's a very good safety shot indeed now as well, because Anthony McGill doesn't really have anywhere to go. I'm not sure if he can clip the red on the right side of the blue there.
Yeah, he's put the green safe, he's covered the two reds on the left, which obviously are the ones, the difficult reds. So even a setback like that, a mistake like that from John Higgins in that break is not eroded his clarity of mind. And that is the beauty of top players. He got that out of his mind straight away and decided that the next best option was to just play a clever safety.
There's still enough colour left on the table despite that 40-point difference.
He seems to have got away with his safety shot, so even though there is a risky red chipping into the black left corner pocket, let's see what John does. Yeah, going for it.
He's not going to give up these kind of opportunities. He knows he's got the the green as insurance.
So that's presented McGill with a very good chance here now, whether he can just compose himself and just at least try and get the loose reds. This is chance to make a game of it.
Let's just rattle the jaws and stuck there.
It's being a clever shot here, trying to get that the red on the left-hand side cushion. He's going to play a plant. So now he's got even that tricky red out in the open. So again, good clarity of thought.
I think the loose red up by the yellow, it passes the yellow, and I think it passes the brown as well. So all he's got to think about now is, when he comes to it, is getting that green off the cushion. And that could be a very costly mistake by John Higgins.
Well, it's good to see is that McGill's making a match of it. You don't want a one-sided contest in a final.
Tell you what though, John's not going to be a happy man sitting in that chair, because it was a very elementary mistake that he made to go out of position early on in that break of his. And it just shows how quickly a match can turn if McGill can make something out of this. You know.
Yeah, he slightly misjudged that cannon on the reds when he was putting red in the corner to land on the pink in the middle. But I'm sure John's probably put that out of his head as well, and is just waiting, hoping that McGill doesn't cash in on what is left him.
It's a bit straight on this pink and makes life a little difficult for McGill. He's trying to avoid that middle jaw. But like you said, the red passes the brown on the other corner as well, so no trouble. But it's all going to come down to that green, you think?
Yeah, it was very smart of John putting that on the cushion.
Just putting it into context, Rory, if he didn't have that clarity of thought and he hadn't put that green on the cushion, McGill would be favourite for this frame at this point. Even coming to the table 40 points behind, he would still go favourite.
Yeah, I mean, most of the good players, you know that they're looking to see what's left and making sure that if they do let their opponent in, that he's not going to clear the table, or if he does clear the table, it would be a phenomenal clearance, especially like with the green on the side rail, how it is.
And having the black there as well. McGill's 14 points behind. I suppose he won't need the black, but high value colour with this red and a clearance up with the pink should be enough.
Mistake there. Andy's left it.
McGill 26.
Do you think John's going to fancy that down the cushion?
Yeah, if he plays it at the right pace. I think that was the last chance for Anthony McGill.
He's going to have to pray now that John doesn't take advantage of this, because you'd have to think a 4-1 deficit would be too much against a player of John's quality. This is not easy though.
Beautiful shot.
He still has some work to do because he needs the green himself. can see if he can land nicely
Off,
on this
please.
yellow, and he could potentially play a snooker in behind the black off the green.
Yeah, I think that's what John's thinking at the minute. Getting the green out in the open and getting the white bang behind the black. That would be his forethought.
Can't see the angle here, but it's not far off from good angle to play a cannon on this green, but you can't see, I can't see him cannoning the green and pushing it into a potable position. It's a very difficult position that he himself has put the green in.
He might even be cannoning the green, who knows?
8.
Like we said, a snooker behind the black is coming,
Yeah, perfect shot.
and you expect Anthony to be in all sorts of trouble here. He would have liked to have been tighter to the black. Is there easy one cushion escape for Anthony?
Maybe he's got to put a bit of swerve on it, but still he could come round the back of the green. That would be a very good shot if he did.
If he gets tight behind that black, it's almost as good as frame over. But 22 points the lead. One foul will put McGill out of the game. And it is a foul.
Foul.
Very unexpected from McGill, because that makes the lead to 26 now with only 25 remaining.
Things don't look good for Anthony.
Very careless mistake there, because it wasn't a difficult snooker to come out of. John would have liked to have been tight behind that black, but Anthony's just gifted him potentially the frame. Although it's still only one snooker, so not completely out of the game yet.
I think he's going to labour on for a bit. Won't just let it go. With McGill, stay on with it. Hope that the tide turns.
I think John really wants to keep this green safe as well. He don't really want to gift him anything because of the position of the balls. You know, the snooker's not that difficult to get. So I think John himself will be playing for snookers.
Yes, with the brown being somewhere near the black, there is potential for a snooker there. So maybe if Anthony was given an easy opportunity, these are not really difficult to get that snooker.
Keeping the distance between the ball, John, is unfortunate not to get a snooker there as well.
Yeah, he played for option of behind brown or black, but fortunately for McGill, he's found the gap, and he could play a pot on this and come back down the table towards the brown, and then maybe think about laying a snooker off the brown. Not quite sure what he was playing there, because he's hit it somewhere in the middle of either a pot or a safety.
This is definitely a good chance for John Higgins to get a snooker here. Normally when your opponent needs snookers, the best thing for you to do is to put him in a snooker. It soon knocks the wind out of them.
You can trust Higgins to do the business in terms of tactical play, but again, I think he's left a gap there, so there's a possibility of getting through to this green. He'll have to play something really fine on the left-hand side of this green, swing the white back around, but it's just everything is fraught with risk at the moment for Anthony. He knows that he can't afford to leave any sort of a pot for John.
I mean, any mistakes now, and Anthony knows that it could be frame and even match over. But that seems to be a very good shot he's played there. Had a nice little flick off the black.
And pushing the black in a slightly even better position for a snooker. I know John can swerve around this and easily hit this green here, but 2 shots down the line, Anthony could have a nice chance of getting in behind that black.
Also requires some fancy work. Remember, potting the green doesn't really help at the moment as far as McGill's concerned.
No.
He's got to try and work and look for snookers.
And he's looking for the snooker, trying to come off the side cushion flick the green and the white in behind the black. It would be a very good shot if he pulled it off.
Very difficult to judge. You know, sometimes you just don't know how much the cushions are going to slide, or is it going to be square. So I don't think he's playing that.
And you've got to be careful with the table, don't pull out here, and the table's not been very good to him there, I'm sure.
But that was a very, I mean,
it was a
I'm
brave
not quite
attempt.
Sure. I'm not quite sure if that was the shot against the nap, trying to catch the green really thin. Any sort of movement in the white, and it's almost end of frame. I'm pretty sure he could have come up with something else, but here we go now, 33 points of difference, only 25 left, and he's in a snooker of his own. He might be able to see the green, but this is an uphill battle now against a player of John's caliber.
I'm sure this is 4-1 now.
He's not thrown in the towel just yet, but the odds are stacked against him.
Now John Higgins can afford to just roll the green over the bag, I'm sure.
He's looking at it. He's looking at the middle pocket. But yeah, he's got an option of shots, you know, blue on the side cushion, black on the side cushion. Middle pocket again, but this time just about.
Definitely 4-1. Now Anthony McGill really has to pull his socks up and dig deep. Because a man of John's calibre, you don't normally see anybody coming from 4-1 down to beat him first to 5. So John's gone to the toilet now, and
well, tell you what, he needs a comfort break, but the man who needs a turnaround in fortunes is the defending champion, Anthony McGill. He's trailing 1 frame to 4 in the race to 5. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Anthony McGill to break.
John Higgins winning the first frame after the interval to open up a 4-1 cushion, and the defending champion under all kinds of pressure. Aditya Mehta and Rory McLeod alongside myself, Patrick Kinghorn, in the commentary box. Rory, I think I've reminded Aditya of this one time too many this week, so I'll give him a break, but it's ironic, isn't it? You both actually fell to Anthony McGill, and it's safe to say that he was the form player in this tournament coming into the final. Would that be something you'd agree with, Rory?
yeah, thank you for reminding me. He played so well against me. He played left-handed, right-handed, and he was doing, he was putting blacks cut back at 90 degrees with his left hand bridging over red. So, you know, it was very tough for me out there.
Aditya, it was the same for you, wasn't it? I mean, you've already mentioned it. John Higgins has made a career out of getting results when he's not bringing his A game. I mean, he's almost unbeatable when he's on fire. But even a week like this, where he's not, I'm sure he'd be the first to admit, played his top level of snooker, still finds himself in a final, and now on the brink of ranking title number 29.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be a relieved man that he is close to winning this title, really never having got out of second gear. And McGill, unfortunately, has not pushed him today. He's pushed a lot of players this week. In fact, he's put a lot of players away without much fuss, myself included. But he's just, I think, maybe run out of a bit of steam. And we said he may have peaked too early, whereas Higgins has not peaked at all. So, in fact, even being 4-1 up, you feel that Higgins is the player that has got plenty left in the tank still. And for McGill, I just don't see anything going right today, and he's not taking his chances, and he's been punished, I suppose.
At this level, you know, a top player like John Higgins, he can bring his C game, and his C game is still a very good game of snooker. He's a player that if you give him 1-2 chances in a frame, you don't expect to see anything of the frame left.
And look how tight he's put the cue ball on that cushion from that safety. Again, for the uninitiated watching, we're live on Sony ESPN, feed being taken all around the world in this relatively new event, just the 4th renewal of the Indian Open. Explain, Rory, just how tricky it is when you're playing a ball tight on the cushion and you can't, in theory, see the bottom of it.
That's a very good shot by Anthony, and I knew he was going to go for it. I mean, when you're playing the ball off the cushion, it's so important that you keep your head still and you get down on the right line of the shot. Because just a little bit off of middle, and that white ball can literally go anywhere, especially on these super fine cloths as well.
Yeah, obviously, being tight on the cushion means you can't get any sort of spin or you can't see the middle of the white or anywhere on the lower half of the white, means it restricts the number of shots you can play. And you can only see the right at the top end of the white, and it's very difficult to play that. And that was a great pot from Anthony in the middle. Although he didn't seem to have much of an option, he played it well, and I just don't think that his safety has been clinical enough, or the quality in the safety hasn't been good enough to keep putting John in trouble. Whereas every time John plays a good safety, you see McGill scratching his head, not knowing what to do. And that's been the difference today, because both haven't really played well, scoring-wise, but John's safeties have been a lot better.
Psychologically as well, now McGill knows the next time he's tempted into a half chance, it could be his last shot in the tournament.
I think that Anthony Gill is looking at this red in the middle. I think he's realising he don't have many more chances left, that he's probably just going to go out there and try and make something.
But going back to the point about the ball being tight on the cushion, it's difficult, isn't it? This would be just under a half chance, you'd say, if he is going for it.
Requires perfect cueing here.
Oh, in and out. You cannot get much closer than that. And of course, tempted into the half chance, he's missed it, and Higgins is on himself what would possibly be only termed a half chance, but arguably easier than the shot that McGill's just missed.
I'm thinking that John Higgins here is going to play a good safety, but at this stage he's probably looking, maybe if I pot this red, I've got a good chance of clearing up.
Looks to be taking the pod on. It is the start of the Higgins march to the Indian title. May well be. Just a fraction of an angle on the cue ball, but still work to do off this blue.
I know John was favoured coming into this match, and obviously the pressure was on him, but he knows that he can't take anything for granted, especially in this situation where McGill now has pretty much nothing to lose. He knows he's almost lost this title, so he may as well come out firing. So John really wants to put this to bed as quickly as he can.
Just gone far enough, has he, for that red above the black?
If he's on that red, you do fancy John to score big.
That's gone in as well. Obviously, again, on first glance, you think the yellow on the pink spot would maybe be an inconvenience, but in essence, all that does is maybe later in the break make it easier to go in and out of baulk for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the position of the balls now, it's highly unlikely that Anthony McGill will get another chance. I know it's still early days, but you've seen John Higgins so many times from this position just punish a man and literally take him out of the frame.
The way John Higgins plays, I mean, you know, you players have got nicknames, but, you know, people watch Ronnie O'Sullivan, they think he's a genius, it's spectacular. Higgins is rarely spectacular, but he's just relentless, isn't he? Just comes on and on and on, and as you've already said, every time McGill's made a mistake today, he's been supremely punished.
Oh, we talk about Ronnie O'Sullivan, and people do forget about John Higgins. John Higgins is just been a phenomenal match player, a phenomenal break builder. I mean, he, like people say, he has the all-round snooker game, and in a position like this, it's just highly unlikely that McGill is going to get another chance. I mean, we have to see what happens with this shot, but for me, John Higgins all the way.
Could have played into the back, but he's not going to play any unnecessary cannons. He just knows how to nudge balls out into the open when, you know, not force the issue. This one here is going to bring maybe another one out into play. He's already got 3 more open reds, and seeing as the way the match has gone, a 50-point break, you feel a 50-point lead, it's going to make it very hard for McGill. He just hasn't scored enough to threaten Higgins, and I'm sure he knows that Higgins knows that he just needs to keep it tight.
I mean, we both lost to Anthony McGill, and he just doesn't look like the same player.
28.
And really, against John Higgins, you have to be playing the same way that you played against us, or even better. And for me, the 2 rightful players in this tournament are in the final. John Higgins just slipped up there. So Anthony might be in with another chance. I can't see John Higgins going for this pink in the middle.
He can't play the double either, because obviously if he goes for the pot, he's going to play it in such a way that he leaves himself on a red, and if the pink doesn't go, that red will be left for Anthony McGill. You mentioned that the two right players are in the final. Of course, they were seeded 1 and 2 coming into it. Higgins, the highest ranked player here, he rises to number 2. Whether he wins or loses in this final, he'll overtake Judd Trump, and Anthony McGill with his number 1 seeding as defending champion. So the cream has risen to the top. Not without upsets this week though, Rory, and I'm sure you'll speak on behalf of the players as Mark Allen and Sean Murphy did yesterday, and just how enjoyable it's been. I mean, everyone's walked around with a smile on their face. It must be very hard for you guys with the travel and the schedule, but a fun time has been had by all, even if the results haven't gone all your way.
I think we've realised that we're playing at a holiday resort because it's so nice here. The sun's been shining, we're right by the beach, it's been so relaxing.
But can I just say, it's a testament to the discipline of snooker players that although you have been, it's more of a back job. It's not like you've been out playing beach volleyball. The practice room's still been packed from morning till night.
I mean, when we first got here, I spent 3 days. I didn't even get a practice. I did have a 20-minute session at 10:30 at night. So it's been pretty tough, really, as regards of snooker. But, you know, it could have been worse. You could have come here and lost your first match. So I did get a match under the belt. So it wasn't all bad.
Rory, of course, seeing off Jackson Page 4-3, and that was a thrilling game, wasn't it? The young Welshman Jackson Page, who's got a growing reputation.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fast kind of player, and he don't play too many safety shots. That was a fantastic shot there by John Higgins. Yeah, so he put me under pressure a little bit because I was 3-2 down at one stage, so you know I was happy to win that match in the end.
Is this typical of a great player going in for the kill? He could have quite easily decided to play safe there and keep McGill away from the table, but this was a very risky long pot, very difficult. And look at what kind of position he's put himself in straight away.
And he actually left the white ball in a position where Anthony McGill wasn't even on a red, or he was on a very difficult one at that. So really, we're looking now that John Higgins is definitely putting this frame to bed and this match to bed as well.
Absolutely, it's an absolute prime position, choice of reds, choice of colours. He won't make the same mistake twice, will he?
Be very, very unlikely. A man of John's calibre in this stage of a match.
Remember, the 3 open reds will be enough to take him over the winning line, so he doesn't even need to play any sort of cannons here.
And he's played for the red below the black as well, which frees the black up into both corners. Things don't look good for Anthony McGill here. I mean, he's had a fantastic tournament up to this stage anyway. He won this tournament last year. He's come back and defended it well. I mean, he's made the final. He's just been up against a man who hasn't been in form, John Higgins. But as we know, John Higgins, it just takes one shot and is a very dangerous player.
And in what promises to be a highly competitive season, obviously we're just in the early stages of it. What message does this send out to the rest of the ranks, chaps? I mean, this John Higgins, as always, another year older, but he's still going to be one of the main men to beat. Now the new world number 2.
Yeah, I think he's had a bit of a resurgence over the last season, because he did win a few tournaments last year, albeit they weren't ranking events, but they were huge invitational events. And you know, I think he's very pleased with last season. But obviously, knowing great players, they want titles and they want records, and now this title today gives him another record. He goes ahead of Ronnie O'Sullivan on the list. And I think it's fitting that the match ball should be won in a middle pocket, because he really needs to prove to us today, right now, that he's not afraid of it.
It's not his favourite pocket either.
And it goes this time though, and is that the coup de grace for John Higgins and the chances of Anthony McGill in his defence of his title. He leads by 60, shortly to be 65. Just 59 remaining. We could be moments away from crowning a new champion. In India in 2013, Ding Junhui beat our own Aditya Mehta. In 2015, Michael White beat Ricky Walden. Last year it was the man who's currently sat, unable to do anything about this, Anthony McGill, who beat Kyron Wilson by 5 frames to 2. And John Higgins is going to become the 4th man in a couple of moments, it seems, to win the Indian Open. India, of course, the birthplace of the game.
It's another great safety by John Higgins, not even giving him a chance to play a good safety. And I'm sure if he doesn't leave John snookered here, John will be rolling this red along the black rail.
We've already seen one, not premature concession, but slightly surprising concession, some might think, by Anthony McGill. With that foul, is he going to give us a concession once more? No, he plays on, so it's going to come down, you feel, to this red, then the concession may come.
I think that's just sportsman spirit, allowing Higgins to finish this match on his own terms. Of course, 69 is too much to do, but this is a formality.
And as I said to Aditya earlier, that John Higgins down the rail has been phenomenal in this match.
It may not have been spectacular in terms of breaks and heavy scoring,
8.
but it's been a performance from John Higgins that illustrates why he's been at the top of the snooker pyramid for so long. At 42 years of age, he's about to win his 29th ranking title, just 7 behind Stephen Hendry, and on the view of what we've seen in the last 3 hours, who would bet against him, even superseding the great Hendry at the top of the all-time ranking winners list. He
60.
becomes the world number 2, and will go to Yushan in China next week.
7.
Strongly fancied, if he can get his best snooker on the table next week, potentially is making it back-to-back wins. You wouldn't rule it out, would you?
You could never bet against John Higgins, but the field in China is going to be very strong. He's got momentum, I suppose, on his in his favour, but I don't think he's going to take anything for granted. I think for now he's just absolutely thrilled to be a winner again, and that too in India for the first time.
Well, as we all know, he hasn't played his best game,
34.
yet he's still come out the winner here in India. So that just goes to show you he's still got a lot more in the tank, and he'll be looking forward now to going to China and winning that.
Well, the green doesn't go, but the Wizard of Wishaw is now the king of India. John Higgins, the master, beats the apprentice. He downs the defending champion by 5 frames to 1. The packed house swarm over John to greet him and congratulate him. Commiserations to Anthony McGill, but as Rory and Aditya have both said, it's been a good week for the Scotsman. He hasn't defended his title, but he's done the next best thing in terms of the ranking points. He has to start to defend now, but there is only one king in India tonight. The eyes of the sporting world on this great nation. And the winner of the 2017 Indian Open is John Higgins. He takes the final by 5 frames to 1, but do not go anywhere, because coming up next we have the trophy presentation to John Higgins, the winner of the 2017 Indian Open.
Welcome back to Visakhapatnam. We are live on Sony ESPN and networks all around the globe. The eyes of the sporting world this week have been on India. 64 of the world's best descending on Andhra Pradesh, and we are now ready to crown the 2017 Indian Open Snooker Champion. To do so, I'd like to introduce to you now the presentation party, starting with Captain PVK Mohan, the President of the Billiards and Snooker Federation of India. The Honourable Minister of Human Resources Development of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Gantra Srinivasa Rao. Delighted to have here the Chairman of the WPBSA, Mr. Jason Ferguson. The General Manager of one of our headline sponsors, ONGC, Mr. Satish Kumar. And the Secretary General of the BSFI, Mr. S. Balsubramaniam. So the players are waiting, I'm sure, to receive their trophies. Well, John Higgins certainly is. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to the good captain, the president, to give us a few words and address the crowd and the world that's watching.
Our honored chief guest, Shri Ganta Srinivas Rao, a good friend of mine, from ONGC, Mr. Satish Kumar, Jason, my friend, for many, many years, Bala, the man behind the scenes who does all the work while we are in front of the cameras, Aditya, our stalwart and our brand ambassador. I am very, very pleased the way this tournament has gone. The fact that this house has been packed and we've had people outside, equal number of people outside watching on television, outside in the hall. This is indeed a great moment for snooker in India, and we hope after the 4th edition we are going to take it to the next level. I must thank the Andhra Pradesh government for supporting us, and we have had the Honorable Chief Minister at the inauguration. Where he literally forced me to announce that 2020 would be in the new capital city. We thank all the sponsors who have made this happen and all those people who have worked behind the scenes to make this great event possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sentiments, I'm sure, by Captain Mohan that everyone would echo. And now to say a few words on behalf of the WPBSA, Mr. Jason Ferguson, the chairman.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, and the people of Andhra Pradesh, our Chief Minister, Captain Mohan, our honoured guests. It has been truly and indeed a pleasure to be wonderfully back here in incredible India. What a great time we've all had. We've had a wonderful warm reception from you all. We've had terrific support from this city and from these great sponsors in this arena. But ladies and gentlemen, take a look over there. That is what snooker is about. These two, the best of friends. This match has been played in the best sporting spirit you've ever seen. And congratulations to both those players. John Higgins, 25 years a professional player and still wants to pot every single ball and win every single match. Tremendous support. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jason Ferguson, President of the WPBSA. Now, I'd like to call upon our guest of honour, who Captain Mohan has rightly lauded for joining us this evening. It is the Minister of Human Resources Development, Mr. Ganta Srinivasa Rao. Sir, if you would be kind enough to address the crowd with a few words.
Respected dignitaries, especially my brother Captain Mohan, players from all over the world, invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all. It's a great pleasure indeed to associate myself with this prestigious international event. The City of Destiny, Smart City, Financial Capital of AP has got the opportunity to host this international event. Especially my sincere thanks to Captain Mohan and his team to give this opportunity for Vizag. Especially under the dynamic leadership of our Chief Minister, Andhra Pradesh is giving highest priority for sports and games. Actually, we are bringing one sports policy. Now it's a mandatory in all schools for physical literacy. In future also, at the time of inauguration, Captain Mohan has accepted for 2020 event at Amravati. For that also my sincere thanks to him. Andhra Pradesh, especially Vizag, we are proposing one integrated sports complex like Gachibowli. Like that, we are encouraging games and sports, especially the players who have participated. My hearty congratulations to winners and my best wishes to all the players. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honourable Minister, for joining us this evening. Now, finally, before we get on with the trophy presentation, I'm sure the two men to my left are eager to receive their prizes. I'd like to call upon the Secretary-General of the BSFI, Mr. S. Bala Subramanian, to give a word of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. We have finally come to the end of what I believe is the best Indian Open so far in all aspects. Thanks to all the people of Vizag for having made this happen. A long list of people to thank for this event, starting with the sponsors, Andhra Pradesh Tourism, Visakhapatnam Container Terminal, ONGC, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, Seaways, Carnival Cinemas. Thank you all for having made this event happen. The media for the fantastic coverage, all the viewers on television and all the people who have come here. This evening, there were a lot of people waiting outside who couldn't get space inside. That shows the love for the sport in the city of Vizag. A big thanks to all the players for having put up a fantastic show over the last 5 days. Thank you for entertaining us. Thanks to Jason and Nigel for being here. And the team from World Snooker, Mike Ganley and company. Thanks, Mike. A big thanks to all the people from Seaways who have helped out in this event. YSN, Jagdish, Captain Vijay Gopal and everyone else. All my colleagues at BSFI for having put up this fantastic show. Special thanks to Ratan, Apparao and Derek Sippy. The visionary, our captain, Mohan, the vision he has put up, I'm sure he'll take this game to great heights in this country. Thank you, Captain, for everything. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Bala, for those lovely words. Now, it's prize time, trophy time. It's what they've all come to Andhra Pradesh. It's that trophy is what it's all about. Firstly, before we present the runners-up and winners' prizes, I understand, Captain, you would like to announce the winner of the highest break, which brings with it a significant cash prize.
Yes, the highest break goes to Zhao Ji Long from China, 141.
So we have the check here. Let's have a look at this check, if we could just hold it. Now, Jason, I think I have to leave you responsible for getting this check. Could you carry this on the airplane to Yushin in China? It might have to. I don't think it'll go on as carry-on luggage.
Jason, you have to take it to China.
So there you go. Congratulations to Zhu Yulong, who scored a 1-4-1 in the first round against Kurt Maffin. Let's hear it for him. Marvellous stuff. Get some photographs of that check now. Let's get down to the business of what tonight was all about. As the gentlemen to my right have already expertly said, it was a wonderful night of sport. The runner-up, the defending champion who fell just short in the defence of his title, but nonetheless takes away £25,000 and a magnificent trophy. Please, a warm round of applause for Scotland's Anthony McGill. Congratulations, Anthony. I'll just let you accept the congratulations of all the assembled dignitaries. If you could just join me here for a second, Anthony. You're going to be able to fit that in the bag on the way home?
It's a lot of money, so I'll sure try.
Let's get you around here, buddy. Sorry, you just come around here so we can face the camera. I do apologise. So listen, it's been a pleasure to be around you and all the players this week. You know, I think on behalf of everyone here in Vizag, we'd like to say it's been an absolute pleasure to entertain the players as you've entertained us on the table. How has the week been for you, with the exception, of course, of falling just short tonight?
No, brilliant week. This is like finishing runner-up. It's one of my best results ever in tournament play, you know, so I have to be happy with that. And my opponent tonight is just, I mean, you know, his safety play is just a joke. You know, my safety's land up there, but his land right there.
But you were the player, you were the man in form coming into the final, though. I mean, no one could get near you. Poor old Aditya over there. We had Rory McLeod on commentary. He's another man that fell to you. Is it a question of maybe you peaked too soon, or just you were beaten by the better man on the night?
No, listen, John's a much better player than me, but not only me, he's better than pretty much everyone who's ever played, so I don't mind coming second to John, it's fine.
And he's now the new world #2 as well. But listen, Anthony, you've been a marvellous ambassador as defending champion. We've enjoyed having you here, and I'm assuming we'll be seeing you back in 2018 here?
Oh, definitely, aye.
Great stuff. Let's hear it for Anthony McGill, your runner-up in the 2017 Indian Open. Well, which brings us to the biggest prize of all. This man is already a 4-time world champion. It is ranking title number 29. He now moves ahead of Ronnie O'Sullivan to second in the all-time list. And who's to say Stephen Hendry's 36 is beyond his reach? The Wizard of Wishaw, the 2017 Indian Open champion, John Higgins. Trophy presented by the Honourable Minister of Human Resources and Development, Mr. Ganta Srinivasa Rao. John, congratulations. Come over here, John. Let's have a quick word. Congratulations, buddy. Another big oversized novelty check for you there. You must have a lot of them in your house, surely. Now, if you could just face the camera, John, sorry. Now, we've been talking, you've been on the TV table a week because that's the status you bring with you in your game. And you were the first to say you've not been on top of your form all week, but you found a way to win, you found a way to win. Zhao Jingtong, it seems so long ago now, just edged him out, and here you are 5 days later with the trophy.
Yeah, it just goes to show you now you should never really give up. I suppose it was looking as if I was going to be 3-0 behind to Jingtong, and he was playing great, and it looked as if I was going to have an early exit from this great tournament, but luckily I managed to hang in there and turned it round my way, and then yeah, it's a dream to come and play in the final. A big commiserations to Anthony, because he done a fantastic job defending the trophy, and he just come up short a little bit. So he's a great player, great friend, and it was great to play him tonight. Great there was 2 Scottish players playing a massive final again, which was great for Scottish snooker.
And in India, the birthplace of the game, of course, that must resonate with you, being such a professional and a student of the game over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I came to the first couple of editions of the tournament. I couldn't come last year, but I definitely was wanting to come back again, because first of all the crowd are so knowledgeable, but they're also some of the nicest people you could ever meet in your travels around the world. So
one final question. Is ranking sizer number 29, I'm sure, well I say I'm sure Ronnie O'Sullivan's watching, we both know he might not be, but ranking number 29, but that will give him a wake-up call, only now 7 behind Stephen Hendry. I mean, is that one of your targets to overhaul that 36, because he's not getting any more?
No, I mean, to be brutally honest, obviously Ronnie will probably win a lot more in the coming years, but a special occasion just to go above someone like Steve Davis, who was in 28 now, and he was my hero growing up. So I don't think he'll be adding to 28. So I think that's a good little feather in my cap that I managed to do something a little bit more than Steve Davis, which not many people can say they can do that.
What a week you've had, and what a week it's been for everybody here. We're going to hand back to commentary, but before I do so, one more time, let's hear it for both the runner-up Anthony McGill and your Indian Open champion, John Higgins.
Well, it's been a fantastic advertisement of the sport of snooker, this 4th edition of the Indian Open, and fittingly so, it's the 4-time world champion, John Higgins, who walks away with the winner's trophy, while last year's champion ends up runners-up, this time Anthony McGill. The 2 Scots had a contrasting show all through the last 5 days, you'll have to say that, but that's the way it is. It's a smile, the trophy, and of course a cheque of £50,000 that John Higgins will walk away with, and we'll leave you with memories of the 4th edition of the Indian Open as the curtain comes down on the same.